You can start.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Dr. Namra. I hope you all are fine and I wish you a very safe stay at home. Students, this is the very first lecture regarding, this is the substitution of your SGD practical and tutorial. So you have already been taught the genital system. Now I will go through the important topics of this system. You have to study thoroughly from your books. So first of all, prostatic zonal anatomy. So there are 4 zones of prostate. As you all know, peripheral zone, transitional zone, central zone, and anterior fibromuscular stroma. So you can see in this picture, this central purple color is urethra, and as you all know, the prostate encircles the urethra all around. So as the name indicates, this peripheral zone is called, this periphery of the prostate is called peripheral zone, and this zone around the urethra is called transitional zone. This is central zone, and this is anterior fibromuscular stroma. So what is the importance of these zones? The peripheral zone is important because most of the aggressive malignant tumors arise from this peripheral zone. So whenever you get a scenario in which there is a tumor in peripheral zone, you should think about that it must be a malignant tumor. So in the transitional zone, most of the tumors that arise are benign in nature. So benign prostatic hyperplasia arises from the transitional zone. This is what you have to memorize. So benign prostatic hyperplasia, it is a non-malignant enlargement of prostate gland which cause cellular hyperplasia of both glandular and stromal elements. So it is the most common benign tumor in men and is not a precancerous condition. It is not a precancerous condition. Another thing is that the both glandular and stromal elements get hyperplastic. So what happens is there is formation of large, fairly discrete nodules in transitional zone of prostate, which push and narrow the urethra. So you can see in this picture, this is the normal prostate, this is bladder, urethra, and the prostate that encircles the urethra. This is a cut surface, that's why you see it like this. So in enlarged prostate, you can see this is nodular enlargement of prostate, which is compressing the urethra as well as it is causing the pressure effects in the bladder. So what does it result? It results in increased resistance of flow of urine from the bladder. Now the etiology. So as the age progresses, the chances of the incidence of BPH increases. The androgen levels also have a role in this. More androgen levels, there is a more chance of BPH. So lifestyle, if increased consumption of fat or carcinogens that are present in charred red meats, that also cause increased incidence of BPH. And there is a heredity, genetic causes, and racial causes. So grossly, how BPH looks like. You can see this is a big nodule. This is another nodule. This is a small nodule, and this is another nodule. So there are 4 nodules that you can see with a homogeneous consistency in BPH. So microscopically, I have taken this picture from internet. It's a beautiful picture. This is what you draw in your notebooks with H&E pencils. So these are the glands. This is a gland, this is another gland, this is another gland, another big gland. What happens to the glands? They get hyperplastic. So there are papillary infoldings in these glands. You can see these papillary infoldings, infolding due to hyperplasia of the glandular component, as well as the stromal. This pink, this you can see, this is stromal component. It is also hyperplastic. What is this inside the glands? These are laminated proteinaceous material. This is called corpora amylaceae. These corpora amylaceae are laminated, concentrated prostatic, you know, the secretions. Next slide. This is these are the pictures that you see inside your microscope. So the first picture shows enlarged glands, and as well as there are papillary infoldings and the stroma, intervening stroma. This pink is intervening stroma. This is also hyperplastic. This intervening stroma is also hyperplastic. And this is corpora amylaceae that is present inside one of the glands. You can see inside one of the glandular component. So this is high power of corpora amylaceae. These are lamellated proteinaceous material. So we'll go for the exercise. A 75-year-old man has a 10-year history of increasing difficulty with urination, increasing frequency, hesitancy, and dribbling. The etiology of for his urinary symptom is a 7 centimeter in diameter prostatic nodule palpable on per rectal examination. His prostatectomy was done, and microscopic appearance shows the following image. So what are the clues in this statement? You can see the age, gender, the male with advanced age, and a 10-year history of difficulty in urination, frequency, hesitancy, dribbling. So on microscopy, you can see enlarged glands. This is an enlarged gland. This is another enlarged gland with papillary infoldings, corpora amylaceae. This takes you to the diagnosis towards BPH. So what is the diagnosis? It's BPH. What are the features favoring diagnosis? The features are, you can see, the first of all, age, gender, it's a prolonged history. Number 3, you can see in this picture, you can see glandular element hyperplasia, corpora amylaceae. So these are all the features that favor towards BPH. What is the hormonal mechanism for this condition, and what are therapeutic therapies? So the hormone, as you all know, androgens are, you know, activated inside prostate gland. Testosterone gets its activated from inside prostate by the action of 5-alpha reductase enzyme. This enzyme is present inside prostate, so that means testosterone is always going to be you know, converted into activated form inside the prostate. So prostate is always having high levels of dihydrotestosterone, or you can say DHT. So that's why that is the hormonal mechanism for this condition. And what are the therapeutic therapies? You can cut off the mechanism anywhere. That is, if you give 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, the conversion into DTH will be inhibited, or alpha blockers can also work, or the combination of both the therapies are given to the patients. What complications could occur if left untreated? If the patient is left untreated, the detrusor muscle gets hypertrophied. As a result, the urine outflow is obstructed, the detrusor muscle gets hypertrophied. Another thing, there is urinary retention, and due to retention, there is backflow of urine, and it can cause hydronephrosis as well as renal failure to the patient. So moving towards prostatic carcinoma. Prostatic carcinoma, typically patient presents with urinary urgency, frequency, hesitancy, nocturia. These are all things that BPH patient can also present with. But what's the striking feature? It's the back pain, it's the spinal cord compression. So when this occurs, you have to think about any malignancy. So diagnostic test for prostatic cancer is PSA prostate specific antigens. It should be less than 4 nanogram per ml in normal individuals. Digital rectal examination helps, and in biopsy, tissue sample from prostate is taken and checked for cancerous mass, and it aids in the diagnosis and helps to determine the Gleason score. Beta, this Gleason score is not given in your book, but most of the examiners ask about this Gleason score. So I think we should focus on it so that you, whenever you are asked, you know what Gleason score is. So grossly, how does prostatic carcinoma looks like? It looks like a firm, gritty appearance. As you can see, this is firm, gritty appearance of the gland. So how does Gleason score work? Gleason score is based on glandular architecture. The lower the score, the less likely the cancer will spread. The Gleason score of 6 or less means the cancer is unlikely to spread. This Gleason score of 7 means there is a moderate chance of cancer spread. Gleason score of 8 or above means there is a significant chance of cancer spread. So now we'll look how the Gleason score is calculated. So you can see in this picture, there are 5 grades, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 grades of Gleason score, in which from well differentiated to poorly differentiated anaplastic cells, these grades follow. So if there is small uniform glands, then it is given score 1. If there is more space, trauma between glands, score 2. If there is distinctly infiltration of cells from glands at margins, score is 3. Irregular masses of neoplastic cells with few glands, very few glands, then it's score 4. And lack of or occasional glands and there is sheet of cells, this is score 5. Now the question arises, these are 5 scores, then how we can say that a score of 6, 7 or 8 or above means there can be a spread. So there is a way to calculate the Gleason score. So the most occurring microscopic pattern of the cancer is seen. For example, if you can see most occurring pattern is this distinctly infiltration of cells from glands at margins, and its score is 3. And the second most occurring pattern is this lack or occasional gland sheets of cells, and its score is 5. We add up these two scores. For example, in this scenario, the most occurring pattern is pattern 3, and the second most occurring pattern is pattern 5. We add them both. 5 plus 3 is 8. So the score of 8, we can see the score of 8 or above means there is significant chance of cancer spread. So this is how we calculate the Gleason score. I hope you got it. Now the pathology. Adenocarcinomas, 95% of prostatic carcinomas are adenocarcinomas. They develop in the acini. So the rare histological types are small cell carcinoma, mucinous carcinoma, endometrioid carcinoma, transitional cell carcinoma, basal cell, and so on. So they are less than approximately 5%. So how do we stage prostatic carcinoma? There is T&M staging. T1A is if the gland is not palpable, but the cancer is detected on the base of abnormal PSA only. T2A palpable mass but confined to the gland. T3A palpable with extension beyond the gland. So coming to N, if no regional lymph node metastasis, it's N0 or N0. If the metastasis is regional lymph node nodes, then it's N1. M0 if there is no distant metastasis, M1 if there is distant metastasis. So another question, a 78-year-old male with a 1 centimeter prostatic nodule palpable on digital examination has a serum prostatic antigen PSA of 14 nanogram per ml. As you know, the normal levels should be less than 4 nanogram per ml. So the PSA level is so high. The biopsy specimen of this lesion is shown. So this is the biopsy lesion. So what you can see anaplasia, you can see pleomorphism. So let's go to the questions. What is your diagnosis? Your diagnosis is prostatic carcinoma. And features supporting this diagnosis, the features are number 1, age, male, prostatic nodule, PSA levels are so high, 14 nanogram per ml, and the microscopic features, that is pleomorphism, anaplasia, high NC ratio, and mitotic figures. So which environmental factors that play a part in path of CA prostate? The high fat intake increases the risk of prostatic carcinoma. Remember one thing, there is no cigarette alcohol association with prostatic carcinoma. So never say never confuse it with cigarette smoking or alcohol. So it is only with fat intake, and counterwise vitamin E intake reduces the risk of prostatic carcinoma. So what is the grading and staging of this disease? We have already discussed. For grading, we use Gleason score, and I have explained it. For staging, we use T&M staging system. What are the most common sites of metastasis for CA of the prostate? Most common sites, beta, the spread to the adjacent organs such as seminal vesicles, bladder, lymph nodes, and bones are common. But bone metastasis, particularly to the axial skeleton, are very common and may cause either osteolytic or osteoblastic lesions. Okay. Now, testicular cancers. Testicular cancers are relatively rare cancers and accounting for approximately 1% cancers in males. So classification, you all know, Dr. Kamal has very well taught you. Germ cell, we can classify in germ cell and non-germ cell testicular tumors. So in germ cell tumors, there are seminomatous tumors and non-seminomatous tumors. In seminomatous tumors, there are seminomas and spermatocytic seminomas. In non-seminomatous tumors, there is embryonal yolk cell teratoma, choriocarcinoma, and mixed type tumors. In non-germ cell, or also called sex-cord stromal tumors, there are 3 tumors: Leydig cell tumor, Sertoli cell tumor, and gonadoblastoma. So you have to memorize the classification. Seminoma is the most common testicular tumor. They are histologically identical to ovarian dysgerminomas. So when you are asked what they are identical to the ovarian counterpart, this is ovarian dysgerminoma. Adults are the usual targets and it is never seen in infancy. Patient present with painless unilateral palpable testicular mass. So pay attention to this. Patient present with painless unilateral palpable testicular mass. So classification of seminoma: classical, anaplastic, and spermatocytic seminomas. Grossly, how can you see a testicular tumor grossly? So seminoma shows homogeneous, well demarcated. You can see it's well demarcated, homogeneous, gray white cut surface, and there are no areas of hemorrhage and necrosis. Microscopic features. So this is how do you see on a microscope, slide on a microscope. So these are uniform round to polygonal cells with distinct cell borders. You can see the cell borders in the slide. Abundant, clear, glycogen-rich cytoplasm with round nuclei inside the cells. So prominent, these are, as you can see, these are the septas. You can see septa. These are the septas. So there is prominent lymphocytic infiltrate inside the fibrous septa. So 15-year-old boy was admitted to Educational Center Hospital in southeast of Iran named Shafi because of dyspnea, pleuritic chest pain, unproductive cough, low-grade fever, weight loss about 2 kg during 3 months, malaise, and big testes. So what you can predict up till now: low-grade fever for 3 months, weight loss for 3 months, malaise, and a big testes. You can think about metastasis. So lab reports were done and revealed normal serum levels of LDH. CT scan of the chest showed multiple nodules with different sizes, and the probability of metastasis become propounded. His doctor told him that the most common type, he has the most common type of testicular tumor. So what is the most common type of testicular tumor? It is seminoma. So what is the diagnosis? Seminoma. Describe classification of testicular tumors. I've already described the classification. It's germ cell and non-germ cell testicular tumors. Germ cell testicular tumors have seminomatous and non-seminomatous varieties, and there are further classification. And sex-cord stromal tumors or non-germ cell tumors are further classified into Leydig cell, Sertoli cell, and chorioblastoma. So what is the intratubular germ cell neoplasia? Beta, remember, it is the precursor in situ lesion of many types of testicular germ cell tumors. And intratubular germ cell neoplasm means neoplastic cells are confined within the basement membrane of tubules so that the basement membrane is not invaded but fulfill all the features of malignancy. That is atypical primordial germ cells with large nuclei, distinct NC ratio, and clear cytoplasm. Remember, this is a precursor lesion. So, urinary bladder. 67 years old man presents with a history of gross hematuria. Urine cytology is non-confirmatory. Cystoscopy is abnormal and shows bladder tumor. Patient is otherwise healthy, has no drug allergies, and does not take medication. tumor has invaded the deep muscles. So this is the picture you get from microscopy. So this shows the cells are pleomorphic. Uh, there is high NC ratio. The nuclei are very prominent, which shows there are prominent mitotic figures. So this suggests you towards malignant tumor. What is the diagnosis? This is transitional cell carcinoma or urothelial carcinoma. This is the most common variety of bladder tumors. So remember, what is the most common carcinoma of bladder tumors? This is transitional cell carcinoma or urothelial carcinoma. What are the causative factors of this carcinoma? So there are multiple causative factors. Working in the chemical or plastic textile, rubber industry, exposure to coal tar, and arsenic, phenols, aniline dyes, and also smoking. And this cancer is also related to cyclophosphamide intake, that is anti-cancer drug. So describe grading of urothelial tumors. Because this grading is given in your Big Robbins. I have, this grading is given there. You can see from there urothelial. This is WHO classification, and it is classified as urothelial papilloma, urothelial neoplasm of low malignant potential, papillary urothelial carcinoma low grade, papillary urothelial carcinoma high grade. So these are 4 gradings, WHO gradings of urothelial tumors. Name another malignant epithelial neoplasm of bladder and its causative agents as well. This is a very important question regarding your Viva question, as far as your Viva questions are concerned. So the other malignant tumors are adenocarcinomas and squamous cell carcinomas. So the causative agent of this transitional cell carcinoma is smoking. The causative agent of adenocarcinoma is irritation or inflammation. How does bladder gets irritated? It gets irritated when there is presence of stone inside the bladder calculi, or the irradiation that cancer patients gets. And the squamous cell carcinoma, the causative agent of squamous cell carcinoma is schistosomiasis. So this is a very important question. You have to memorize it. This is the last question. A 70-year-old man presents with difficulty in micturition and urgency. He has a history of weight loss for last 6 months. Biopsy shows the presence of cytologically malignant cells within a flat urothelium and with lack of cohesiveness. So you can see this is intact basement membrane. The basement membrane is not invaded. This is flat epithelium, lack of cohesiveness. So what is the diagnosis? This is urothelial carcinoma in situ. This is your bookish picture. I have taken it from Big Robbins. So this is urothelial carcinoma in situ. Name other tumors of the urinary bladder. They are urothelial carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma. What is the behavior of this tumor? The behavior of, although this is in situ lesion, but if it is left untreated, 50 to 75% of the patients progress to invasive carcinomas. So, beta, this is your assignment of male genital system. You can click this, the link and get it on your laptops. You can download it. You can have a printout. Whatever you want, you can have this assignment with you. And please, please note down your assignments in your notebooks and complete your notebooks. Thank you so much. I hope you all have got the subject. And if there are any questions, you can ask in the WhatsApp group, pathology WhatsApp group. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz. Allah bless you.
नहीं 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 नहीं, इधर ही होगा।
इमरान को आपने बताया भी आया था।